YouTube? I'm Rick from Look Now TV. Check out this awesome video. In 1803, did a female alien arrive in Japan in a UFO on a beach called Hirotono, Ohama? I'm Rick from Look Now TV. Join me as we look at this mysterious video. The legend of Yusoro Boni goes back for centuries. A mysterious alien woman who arrives from the bottom of the Pacific in a metal round craft-like vessel. Let's take a closer look at these drawings. Many believe these are the first modern drawings of UFOs. These UFO-themed prints reveal a flying saucer-shaped object. The drawings are similar to the UFOs we see today by countless witnesses. In the writings, they reveal a description of a bowl-like metal ship that arrived on a beach in Hirotomo, Ohama. The witnesses approach the craft and they look inside. There was a woman dressed in smooth, light clothes. On the exterior of the ship, there were letters that were unfamiliar. The witnesses described what could have been a UFO in ancient Japan. No round ships existed in Japan at that time, so the witnesses believed it was a UFO. Why would witnesses in Japan over 200 years ago think a mysterious woman arrived in a metal craft? Japan was completely closed to outsiders and outside news until 1857. So where did the idea of a woman in a round metal craft originate from? What if this is a real UFO and the woman is a real alien? Is this a real close encounter of the third kind? Maybe we'll never know. This is a good mystery.
Oh shit.
This is the Weird Shit Podcast.
Is that a joint, man?
And I wouldn't flaunt your ignorance.
Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
Canadian graffiti. Swear words. That's amazing. They're like poop butt. You're like, man, Canada. That's rude. Welcome to Weird Shit Podcast. This is Mike.
Oh shit, do we have like we have banter?
I don't know. Was that banter?
I don't know.
That is the best version of Doom. That is a fact.
That is true.
It's almost as good as the version with The Rock. Almost.
What's the Rock version like?
It is dope. Do you remember with Carl Urban and The Rock, the movie Doom?
Oh yes.
Like what was funny is The Rock on Twitter was like, I'm happy to have been in like the highest rated or the best video game movie of all time or something like that, about his like Rampage movie.
Yeah, he was starting to talk trash about Doom.
And the Doom account responded, bruh.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's amazing.
Yeah. The movie is severely underrated.
Yeah. It's fun. It's like not Shakespeare, but
It's better than Shakespeare.
it's definitely fun. I had a lot of fun watching that movie.
Shakespeare didn't have like a demon that's half chainsaw.
Yeah, or like Carl Urban that's like fucking like first person punching through things, chests and stuff like that. That's dope.
The dude fought a demon with a computer monitor.
That's right. Oh, that movie. Oh god.
Welcome to Weird Shit Podcast.
Yeah, welcome to Weird Shit Podcast. That's the banter. That's the kind of high quality shit they listen for.
That's right.
They're
Just
like,
came up with that shit on the spot.
we improvising this shit. People like, they're like, they say like too much and like.
They eat chips on the microphone.
But you know what?
Top.
But you know what? Real talk.
Real
I don't
talk.
know.
What's real talk?
Real talk. I'm about to hit this right quick.
Allegedly.
I made the mistake of grinding it this time, and it is ridiculous. Like it, I just get so much more at once. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I could accidentally grind it. But I'm like, fuck.
I accidentally grinded and then smoked this.
I accidentally spent 5 minutes grinding this. My bad.
A doobie.
So, people seem to like the weird news thing we did last week. They were like, oh, Mike, you're so dope. That was such a good idea. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. And then
We're never doing this shit.
And then I block him like Mike Boudet. Because that's how I do's it. So this week I got a couple more weird news stories from this week now. The first one I have here, I have government accidentally releases documents on psychoelectric weapons.
Okay. What's a psychoelectric weapon?
So, a psycho...
How is that weird?
So, a psychoelectric weapon is honestly something that, like, showed up in, like, the TIs and stuff, the targeted individuals and gang stalking stuff that I read about.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, they're attacking me with psychoelectric weapons, and I'm like, like, just, like, cracking up.
I just imagine the scene from Godfather when Sonny, like, rolls up to the checkpoint and the dude just pop up with psychoelectric weapons. And so he's just like...
They're, like, hitting him with microwaves.
And everyone looking on is like, what? Is he miming this? What the hell's going on?
And he just explodes like in Scanners.
Yeah. Like, oh, nope. Either he's the best mime of all time, or this is microwave.
He went to mime school, and he mimed so hard that he learned how to raise his blood pressure to the point his head exploded.
Just
That's how good of a mime
he mimes being locked in a microwave and starts spinning, and then it explodes.
He's the Heath Ledger of mime.
He's like a burning pile of ash on the ground, but somehow it still goes. And he like stops rotating.
He like somehow echoed
How do you
it.
do that?
He like echoed it perfectly so that it would bounce back and make that sound after he exploded.
Fucking greatest mime. Rest in pieces.
R.I.P. You were the best of us. So, psychoelectric weapons are apparently a type of weapon that have EM effects on the human body. So,
What's
like,
EM?
Electromagnetic. So, it, like, they use, like, electromagnetic waves to, like, manipulate the way you think or make you feel things. Like,
That's how they turn the frogs gay.
Huh?
That's how they turn the frogs gay.
Yeah, exactly. But apparently, this group, Muck Rock, they're like a news organization that files Freedom of Information Act requests all the time. They got this back on accident from like filing for something completely different. They got sent these documents, which are about mind control, like mind control weapons. They were literally trying to get records on Antifa and white supremacist groups for like a story they were doing, and instead they got sent this.
Is that some kind of hint then? Like, are these white supremacist groups being mind controlled?
Oh shit, they're like triple sheep dude into like being even more racist than they are. So, some of the images appear to be part of a Nexus magazine article, which described a 1992 lawsuit brought by one John St. Clair Aoki against the NSA. Aoki claimed that the NSA had the, quote, ability to assassinate U.S. citizens covertly or run covert psychological control operations to cause subjects to be diagnosed with ill mental health, and was documenting their alleged methods.
I feel like that guy's name, you know, like people's names used to come from like their old professions and ye olde times. What if he was just like the first person to develop allergies? What's your last name?
Shit, that's permanent, isn't it? It's gonna be on my bloodline forever. God damn it. And apparently Nexus magazine is like a an Australian conspiracy mag, which a lot of these documents seem to be excerpts from.
Weren't there a couple like mass shooters that claimed that they didn't know like where they were or what they were doing leading up to the shootings?
There are some assassins who had, and then there's people like James Holmes or whatever his name is, the guy from Aurora.
Yeah.
He had basically scrambled eggs for brains afterwards. Like he didn't talk. He like was acting weird in court, and then they like black-sighted his ass. So
hit him with the
maybe they hit him with the wom.
They left him a little too long in the microwave.
Yeah, scrambled him. But he was also working on like some sort of software for like brain manipulation and stuff like that too. Was like what his like doctorate was going to be on. Was like neuroscience, so it was a really weird coincidence that happened. The next one I have here, there's been sightings of giant sloths in Patagonia.
Hell yeah!
Apparently.
Like how giant?
Like giant, like
Godzilla sized.
It's the ground sloth, and so
they're not a threat to anyone.
Is it like the ones that you find bones of?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like
they're from ye olde times.
It's like a 15-foot sloth,
Yeah.
basically. Like, it's a pretty big sloth. But, like, locals there have claimed that they've seen it.
Moving very slowly in the distance.
And they had also, at one point, found a sloth skin inside of a Patagonian cave in 1895 that was, like, big enough to be from one. But they were like, oh, no, that must have just been left here. They like climbed in and fucking like died millions of years ago, and this is just still here. And
what if it's just like local people finally got binoculars? They're going, dude, that's just huge. They're like 5 feet away from one, staring at it with binoculars. That's got to be like 50, 60 meters.
60-foot meters.
It has to be 60-foot meters long.
So apparently the reason that the natives used to keep sloths in caves was so that they could go and milk them.
Last Jedi.
Just like a guy slurping on fucking sloth nipples.
I was about to say, if it's got nipples, you can milk it.
You can milk it. This sloth had a bunch of them. So, weird nipple fact.
What if they were huge?
I don't know if I ever told you guys this weird nipple fact.
I know where you're going with this nipple
So,
fact.
one weird thing about mammals is they actually have twice the number of nipples as the maximum amount of kids they can have. So basically, like, humans have 2 nipples because we can be pregnant with 1 kid at a time, generally. And so, dogs will have, like, you can tell how many their litter is going to be based on how many nipples they have, because you just divide that in half.
I don't think that's true.
Nipple facts.
Nipple facts. This has been Nipple Facts Podcast.
Unsubscribe.
You're fucking welcome.
You have subscribed to Nipple facts.
Also, manatees control their buoyancy by farting. So they can, like, fart and make themselves float up.
Is that a nipple fact? Do they fart through their nipples or something?
Yes.
Okay.
They're manatees, of course.
Here's some more nipple facts. There are 4 to 8 types of nipples. Inverted nipples are normal. The average nipple height is the size of a ladybug. Thank you for subscribing to Nipple Facts.
You're welcome. So,
Today I learned.
So, the next story I have here is about a mass possession that happened in a school in Colombia.
Nipples are the gateway to the soul.
Please send us your nipples.
I knew it.
Wait, no, hold on, no.
My nipples! So, in Colombia, several students in a classroom were suddenly possessed by evil spirits. During the unsettling event, which occurred in the town of Palomino, some children inexplicably started fainting while others were, like, thrashing about and screaming in the class.
Flash mom.
So, flash mom. So, once on the floor, so according to the mother of one victim, the young girl, quote, felt something make a sound inside her body
She starts working.
and was then knocked to the ground by a blow to the chest from an unseen force. Once on the floor, the child then unleashed the unnerving declaration, "I will kill them," which no doubt only increased the terror felt among everyone as the weirdness unfolded.
I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that's just how puberty works. Should probably just hit puberty real quick.
I will kill them.
There's there's not any information on how everything turned out, but there is video footage of the kids being taken out of the school and taken to a hospital. So hopefully they'll figure something out to help those kids.
That's all for this segment of
That's it for this segment of
That ain't good.
Well, because they saw them in the school, but it kind of just ends there.
You just see limbs flying out the window.
It's like Evil Dead. It's the kids got sucked into a blender somehow. It's holy shit.
Japan's 10 most dangerous demons. Number 10, Ohaguro Batari, or blackened teeth, usually found slowly walking near temples or shrines, dressed in a white kimono or more commonly a wedding dress. This female appears beautiful at first glance, but her true form is that of a hideous monster. Any man foolish enough to approach her, or worse, try to glance at her face, will be in for a shock. Her face is all white, devoid of any features except for a gaping red-lipped mouth full of stained black teeth. This demon is known to scream, bite, and scratch at her victims, laughing at the fleeing man. In some stories, her victims will be so startled by her ghastly appearance that they will trip and fall to their deaths. Number 9, Kappa, or river child, are most commonly depicted as humanoid in appearance, though short, with salamander-like reptilian skin, with webbed hands and feet. A beaked mouth lined with teeth, a shell on its back, and a damp, bald head with black hairs encircling its beady black eyes. These yokai are best known as tricksters or troublemakers. Their pranks can be innocent, such as looking up a woman's kimono, or evil, such as drowning animals, kidnapping children, raping women, drinking human blood, stealing souls, and even eating the flesh off human bones. These water monsters are often blamed for mysterious drownings along the extensive coastlines of Japan. Kappas are not always maniacal and are often said to be curious about human culture, sometimes befriending people and trading services for gifts. Some shrines are dedicated to helpful kappas. Their favorite food is said to be cucumbers, hence the popular sushi roll kappamaki. Number 8, Katsumi. Fox spirits are common in Japanese folklore and are best known as shapeshifters and tricksters. Katsune are known not to be trusted due to their tricks, lies, and deceptions, including stealing a human soul in exchange to keep their newly desired human form. It is often whispered that Katsume become more powerful with age, developing more tails as its power grows. 9-tailed foxes are said to be the most powerful of these creatures, often depicted with glowing white or fiery golden fur. The beast can grow to massive sizes, and in some legends can even breathe fire or lightning. These shapeshifters are best known for impersonating beautiful women with a narrow face or slit-like eyes. While wandering the streets of Japan, be weary of a woman alone at night, especially if the glimmer of a tail can be seen in its shadow. Number 7, Makashi Nuno, anticipating priest. A fearsome demon known to appear on empty streets, intersections, or bridges. These demons take on the form of a human priest or monk traveling alone at night. They seem harmless, but the moment a person looks up at them, they will transform, growing taller and taller. Often, this causes the victim to look up until they fall backwards. It is then that the demon strikes, lunging forward and biting out their throats with sharp fangs. In some stories, its necks will stretch out like a giant snake. Known to be shapeshifters, these creatures often carry a bucket or lantern. This tool is where the true form of the Makashi Nundo is kept. Number 6, Katkari Hora, the pig demon. Taking on the form of a pig or piglet, this yokai is known for its black skin, red eyes, and only one ear. This cunning monster casts no shadow and appears only at dusk or night. The Katakora is best known for its speed and deadly accuracy. It uses its keen sense of smell to detect its victims. Its most common prey are people walking the streets alone or in pairs. If this yokai runs underneath your legs, it steals your soul, leaving only a shell behind, a soulless zombie forced to wander the streets alone until even this ghost of a person dies. Number 5, Kasha. Roughly translated means fire cart, but is best known in folklore as the corpse-eating cat demon. Most classic demonic paintings depict the creature wielding fiery chariots and long red tongues. Kasha are often said to live among humans as ordinary house cats or strays. When a cat grows old and dies, it can transform into a kasha. Funeral processions and cemeteries are the most likely victims for these yokai. Echoed by a clap of thunder, the cat-like monsters are said to appear from the skies, snatching the corpse of the wicked soul to drag down to the depths of hell, sometimes eating the dead flesh with ravenous red fangs. In Japan, it was once common belief that if a cat jumped over the coffin, the corpse inside the coffin would rise. Number 4, Gashudakoro, or starving skeleton. These demons are said to be victims of famine reborn as hungry ghosts. When enough of these poor, starved souls die, they are woven together and reborn as this yokai, which takes on the form of a giant skeleton. These yokai most commonly roam the streets in the darkest hours of the night. Cloaked in invisibility, their victims' only clue will be the loud ringing in their ears and the hustle of bones rattling and teeth chattering before the immense skeleton appears, grabbing lone travelers and biting off their heads and drinking up the spilt blood. Number 3, Jorogomo, the binding bride or spider demon. According to legend, when a spider reaches its 400th year, it gains malicious magical powers and begins to feed on humans instead of insects. The most well-known of legends speak of the spider demons changing shape into beautiful, seductive women. Jorogomo's favorite prey are virile young men who are looking for love. Once a Jorogomo finds a man she desires, she will invite him into her home. He is often never seen again, for spider demons are known to spin threads so strong he can never escape. Then she will slowly suck his life force through her long, jagged teeth. Other legends tell of Jorogomo releasing powerful venoms from her fangs, slowly weakening the man day by day, allowing the spider demon to savor the long, painful death her victim suffers. Number 2, Nuroono, or wet woman, is a Japanese monster with the head of a woman, usually depicted with long, flowing, soaked raven black hair, and the stretched, scaled body of a snake. The female sea monster is most commonly known as being 30 feet long, with glowing snake-like eyes. The Noro-Ono is sometimes heard laughing or crying and can appear on a sandy shore or the river's edge, her snake body hidden in the dense folds of dark waters, carrying a small childlike bundle. If a human approaches her demonic form and offers to hold the baby, the snake woman will allow it. However, if they attempt to discard the infant-wrapped bundle, it will reveal that it is merely an illusion of sticks or stones, which become increasingly heavy, preventing the victim from fleeing her watery crutches. It is often told that she will then expose her long, jagged fangs and forked tongue to suck all of the blood from her victim's body, or use her talon-like claws to snatch them and drag them into the cold depths below. Number 1, Oni, or ogres, are born when truly evil human beings die and are reborn as demons, transforming them into terrifying, deformed monsters. They are most commonly depicted as hideously tall, with red or blue skin, flowing wild hair, long fang-like tusks with razored teeth, and ravenous claws. They can sometimes be seen wielding iron clubs, dripping with blood and flakes of flesh. Oni are said to be terribly cruel, and are known to peel off skin, crush bones, eat flesh, tear men limb from limb, and eat human beings whole. Hell is said to be primarily made up of Oni, though some linger on Earth to terrorize the deserving living.
I mean,
It was like a sleeve
when
with
you look-
actual nipples.
when you look at the paintings, he clearly has
You know, just like
nipples.
squirt milk into like the eyes of attackers.
And then change it into wine, and then change it into flames. Because
Milk! Ooh, wine! Ah, turn it back!
all shall love me and despair.
Damn, Jesus, you crazy.
This is why they switched to the New Testament. The Old Testament was crazy.
Shit was lit. So,
God just kept being like, no, undo.
So the last story I have here is a Nazi coin from the future claimed as proof of a parallel universe.
I believe it.
So, basically they found this, like, Nazi coin in Mexico that has, like, a date on it that's 2039.
Did they, like, carbon date it?
Negative. It says negative carbon in it.
It says, it from the future, yo. Huh.
There are persistent rumors of a secret Nazi base in Antarctica. Maybe the Antarctic Nazis develop time travel in the near future, go back in time to the 30s, and try to convince the Mexican government to side with them in World War II by giving them a commemorative coin, which won't work. Because that's a ridiculous and insulting way to forge an alliance. So yeah, they're probably just gonna throw it away.
That's the best proof of a parallel universe I've seen.
Yeah, it's like literally a fucking coin. Like they're like those are easy to fake.
Right.
Like it's not like this is some sort of like cryptocurrency from the year 2039 somehow. Like it's literally
This
like
is Hitler's buried Bitcoin
all
from
gonna
the
look-
year 3008.
Yeah, I was about to say, we're all gonna look real fucking stupid when it's 2040 and it's fucking Hitler somehow in the future. Like, you didn't see this guy.
I literally bought a penny with a giraffe on it when I went to Busch Gardens, because you put the penny in and it just like presses the shape of the giraffe into the penny.
That's a pretty dope penny.
So
It costs $1.
I'm sure they could do that with literally any of this shit.
No, it's impossible to fake a coin. It's gotta be from the future.
Yeah, you can't just put a future date on something. They don't exist yet.
That's true.
Is there like reverse inflation? If you
How
get
would
money
you
from
know?
The future?
How would you know what the date would be in the future if it hasn't existed yet?
Exactly.
Like, we have no way to tell. Like, I don't know what day it is until I get there.
What if they don't have days in the future?
What if they only have nights in the future?
What if it's all one day?
What if those are actually Nazi vampire coins? Because we've lost our days and it's all become nights.
What if it's not actually from the future? It's just from a casino that's in its own pocket plane.
like that fucking pocket tent thing that you can get in D&D.
Exactly.
You like climb in the tent and you're in like another dimension.
Yep. Whole different currency in there.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense. So, this week we're going to be talking about one of the weirdest places on Earth.
Chuck E. Cheese.
Cheese? That's a pretty weird place.
Boulder, Colorado.
That's a good one
I'm pretty
too.
sure that's just a rock.
No, that's a country in the Middle East.
Not that this is a wrestler.
And I ran so far away. So, we're going to be talking about Japan. Which should be pretty,
Yeah, I've been there.
pretty dope. Have you?
I lived there for 3 years.
It's true.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, damn. I believe you.
I don't see why you wouldn't. Everything I say is fact.
Were
I
you
was
a kid?
also
Or
9 feet tall.
were you a kid? Or
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was a kid. I was
What type of kid?
toddler.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
I was there when I was 14 for 2 weeks,
Yeah?
and I was definitely a giant.
Just like everybody like running in fear when you like get on the subway.
Yeah, they wouldn't
I
stop
was-
screaming. They were just screaming, Gojira! Gojira!
I was
Slapping them.
a clothes model.
Word?
Yeah.
Nice.
I was in magazines.
I believe you.
They love white kids.
That makes sense. I actually dated the Campbell Soup girl in high school.
I don't know who that is.
She like remember how Campbell Soup used to have like a little redhead girl with freckles on like the cover of all the cans? It was her.
It's not on this one.
It's just weird. But yeah, they don't have it anymore.
What's wrong with her? She died?
No.
Oh, okay.
So the first thing I have here is Ninjin. Have you guys ever heard of a Ninjin before?
You can't just say that on the radio.
No, Ninjin. Ninjin.
Saying it slower isn't going to make it any better.
Ninjin.
Seriously, stop saying it.
So, basically, what a Ninjin is they're a humanoid life form that, according to Japanese folklore, lives in the icy waters of the Antarctic.
But that's not Japan. Antarctic's like south.
Well, you know how like Japan always gets in trouble for like whaling and shit like that?
Yeah.
It's because of that they found it. Like they like will go like south, going whaling and shit.
So they see like Antarctic mermaids.
Let me tell you. So the Ninjin, which name literally translates to human in Japanese, are said to be completely white in color with an estimated length of 20 to 30 foot meters.
I mean, it's basically white people.
So this thing is literally 60 to 90 feet long.
Jesus.
Eyewitnesses describe them as having a human-like shape, often with legs, arms, and even 5-fingered hands. Sometimes they're described as having fins or a large mermaid-like tail instead of legs, or even tentacles. The only visible facial features are the eyes and mouth. It's literally like someone put a smiley face on a beluga whale, and like arms and legs.
Yeah, they look like something straight out of Attack on Titan.
Yeah, they're fucking nuts, man. And so, like, these things have been sighted for, like, years. Originally by, like, fishermen and stuff. And, like, according to most accounts, they're, like, they're nocturnal, and they thrive in, like, frigid Arctic and Antarctic waters.
Same.
So,
I found one that's, like, super buff.
super buff?
Yeah. He looks like the Super Ninja. It's just, like shredded.
That's ridiculous. So, according to one account, a anonymous crew member, along with fellow researchers, scrambled up onto the deck of a ship to catch a glimpse of what they initially thought was a foreign submarine, and they could see it like floating on the horizon. However, as the research vessel approached the object, it became evident that they were not dealing with a machine-tooled structure, but a living, breathing behemoth. Did you guys find a picture of one of their dicks or something? Oh, yeah. I love that one.
It's like a goddamn beluga whale head, and then it has fucking legs.
Yeah. It's got like no arms.
It's like smiling. It's like,
He's like, I'm a whale. Yo, what up?
It's like a mermaid gone wrong. Like,
there's also a pretty cool picture of one that was taken on Google Maps. Like it totally looks like it could be one on Google Maps, which is dope. There's a few different theories about what it could be. Some people are like it's just ice flows and they're fucking crazy. Some people are like it's a new species of like giant manta ray or something, like some sort of Arctic manta ray, or it could be like
I don't know, I'm pretty sure it's a beluga man.
or it could be like a unidentified submerged object, like instead of an unidentified flying object, which I guess technically it is if you see it and you don't know what it is.
yeah.
It's like a Yuso, which Japan has a lot of, by the way. Like a lot more Yuso sightings than UFO sightings.
Probably because they go,
nuts.
what's that?
Good. So the next creature I have here, they're called the Yokai.
Yokai.
So, have you ever heard of yokai before?
Is that
Yeah,
an anime?
it's that stuff in the middle of the egg.
That's good. It literally, it's a combination of characters that means attractive, bewitching, and calamity, and mystery and wonder.
Okay, so the first thing that comes up when I look for yokai is two one-legged, like, imp-looking dudes beating some one-eyed, one-legged pig to death with a mallet.
Yep, that's right.
Alright, just want to make sure I
So,
got it.
yokai. So the thing about yokai, though,
Okay!
like, I was like really psyched to do like the weird Japanese, weird Japan episode, but there are literally thousands of different kinds of yokai. Like, I was like, yeah, there's probably a couple. No, there's thousands. There's a whole website that's just dedicated to listing all kinds of them. So I got a bunch here that I liked, and if we still have time, maybe we'll do some more.
Yeah.
But
How do you
let's
spell
see.
yokai?
Yokai.
Oh, okay. Because it makes a little bit more sense, I guess. Wait, Y-O-K-A-Y?
Yes.
They kind of look like a dwarf with an elephant trunk, bird talons for hands and feet, but they also kind of look like an old man with wrinkled skin.
So, yokai are kind of this phenomenon that showed up in like the Edo period of Japan. It's like a cross between ghost stories, like cryptid stories, and like natural phenomena. Which
Isn't
is
Edo like noodle soup?
I don't know. See,
I live there, maybe.
maybe. I mean, you would know better than I do.
How come it's not like Edo, comma? Why does it have to be a period? Edo semicolon.
Wasn't that one of the planets from Rogue One?
And basically it ends up translating to bewitching wonder or bewitching mystery. That is basically what a yokai. What
I like the
yokai means.
TV show.
Yes, bewitched. It just wiggles its nose at you.
Boing.
Boing. So the first one that I have here on the list is the. I'm gonna read you guys the name, and you try to tell me what you think they do. All right. So the first one I have here is the Akoro Kamui.
It's a flying penis.
I'm gonna go with it was Akira, like from the end of the movie, when he turns into a giant flesh monster
Like a
And then-
laser bazooka.
and then rides a motorcycle.
That sounds right. So the Akoro Kamui is actually this thing which is a giant octopus god that resides in Hokkaido's Uchiura Bay.
Basically a penis.
Basically, when this thing stretches itself out, its body stretches over 1 hectare in area.
That is 2.471 acres.
Smart ass.
We literally looked it up and then had to record again. So, but this thing, it actually started out as a fucking giant spider instead that, like, got lured into the ocean, and when this dude managed to, like, lure it into the ocean, it turned into a giant octopus
I just
instead.
imagine he was like in Jurassic Park. He's just running with a flare.
He dressed up like a giant fly. He's just like waddling along the ground like
I'm gonna catch you in my web.
It's just like a Super Sentai show where they're like punching this giant spider and a giant robot.
It's like giant spider Frieza.
So, the next one I have here is the Kappa. Do you know what a Kappa is, Ryan?
My only experience with a kappa is it's like a weird dude's face that gets posted on the internet all the time.
I heard it was like a joke. You say something and then you say Kappa because you didn't really mean it.
I heard it's one of those memes.
I heard that if there are 3 Kappas in a sorority, that it is bad.
Kappa, Kappa, Kappa.
Kappa, Kappa, Kappa.
Is that really a sorority? Because
Yeah.
On Mad TV.
Yeah.
it's one of the oldest sororities turned into a hate group.
The only thing I know about Kappa comes from Ninja Turtles 3. Because they were like, Kappa, like when they saw the Ninja Turtles in that movie.
Kappa, Kappa.
Kappa, Kappa. So, Kappa translates to... Kappa translates to river child. And, basically what a Kappa is they're like reptilian humanoids that live in the rivers and streams all around Japan. If you like get them out onto land, though, they're like clumsy as hell. They like can barely operate. But
you just lure them onto land and then just like keep tripping them and laughing at them. That's why
you fucking stupid Kappa.
That's when they get back in the water. They're fucking demons.
You're so fucking dumb.
Let me
Kappa.
catch you in the water, bitch.
This thing. So these things will like lure you to the river and then like pull you in and drown you. Is like their thing. Supposedly they are about the size and shape of a human child with scaly skin that can be anywhere from a deep green to bright red or sometimes even blue.
Why would someone follow that? What are they doing to lure these people?
Kappa.
Kappa. This guy's got them dank memes.
So
memes over here.
What they
Come
actually
get
do,
your memes.
what they actually do to lure you is they make a sound like a drowning child. So you're like, oh shit. You're like, oh shit, that kid's in trouble. So you like run over and then you get Kappa.
Give me all your fucking Kappas.
Kappa. Oh shit. Their favorite things are they're omnivorous, and their favorite things are cucumbers and human entrails.
They'll go together. They'll probably go together for a
How are
Kappa.
they omnivorous if they eat flesh and vegetables?
They're not.
That's literally what it is.
No, they're nom-nivorous.
They're like literally eating finger sandwiches with like the cucumber, but like actual fingers.
They're just like, they just gut you on the side of the river, and they just like start chopping up a cucumber over top of you.
like that adorable cat chef from Monster Hunter.
No longer so adorable.
Just like puts on his chef hat and like the fucking apron, and pulls out knives and starts chopping you up on the board. I'm like, holy shit.
I do the Homer scream right now if I could.
No. So these things, they're really good swimmers, so they'll just fucking drown you. They also have 3 buttholes.
I mean, I feel like he's losing in the butthole department, but I feel like Michael Phelps could still outswim him.
But would you really be losing in the butthole department? Because 2 of those could be used for relieving gas, and 1 for actually pooping.
Are like the 3 buttholes in a line, or is it more like a triangle?
I imagine it like a triangle.
It was like 2 on the cheeks.
There's like 1 in the gooch. And then
like
one on each
the
cheek.
2 on the cheeks are for farting, and it just goes.
No,
they're right up against each other, so when they fart at the same time, and it just like it's like a sonic boom.
Yeah, it's like that Hulk clap thing that he does where like breaks
Oh
on
god, I
windows.
got a fart.
Oh god, I think I'm gonna vomit.
So these things, no joke, one of the things about the legend with these is that they produce 3 times the gas of a human.
It's because they got them 3 buttholes.
Yeah, they fart all the time.
And they're eating like fucking real fatty human food.
Oh god, I think I'm gonna vomit.
Apparently they love to peek up women's kimonos and loudly pass gas in public.
Why do they like looking at women's lizards?
A nice lizard.
Lizards.
They're peeking up at their kimonos. Like,
They're lizard people. They probably like looking at lizards.
oh yeah, that's a nice kimono dragon.
Oh, yeah.
There. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like that kimono.
I like the way that sunbathes.
So they also have a particular hatred for cows and horses, and will attack the animals for no reason at all.
Absolutely no reason.
So if you're like walking around, like you could like take your fucking like your horse to like get a drink. If there's a fucking kappa in there, it's gonna eat it. It's gonna
You
kill
take
your
your cow out
horse.
for a walk, dip them in the river, dead.
They've
You just like dunk the cow in the water and you just pull up a skeleton.
they're also known to
They're
kidnap.
like fucking piranha.
Oh shit!
Holy shit!
Damn.
The water's bubbling, you just hear a bunch of farts and kappas. Goddamn kappas.
There's kappas all over the place in here. That's just like the excuse the guy gave the first time he like went swimming with his girlfriend. And he had like way too much sushi and just was ripping, like ripping in the river the
There's a
whole
kappa.
time. He's like, nah, it's a kappa. She's like, what's a kappa?
No, he's just saying
like,
kappa.
He's like, it's got
Kappa.
three buttholes and like farts all the time. It's a kappa. She's like, oh, I never heard of that. And then they write an entire book about it.
It smells like Bigfoot's dick.
No, that's my dick.
It smells
So-
like a used diaper filled with Indian food.
They're known to kidnap or rape swimming women and to devour humans alive, usually going for the anus. In particular, a mythical ball of flesh located just inside the anus called the Shirikodama.
Yeah, I've heard of this.
I keep hearing that they exist, but
It's
I've
like-
never seen one.
it's
What are
like
they
the
called?
heart of a coconut.
Shakira Nicodamus?
Yeah, Shakira Nicodamus. That's exactly what they're called. So, you guys know how you beat a kappa? So kappas, they have this like weird like bowl-shaped depression
You
in their
stick
skull.
your fingers right up their pooper. All three of them.
Got block all three of them at once, and their head blows up like scanners. So you can't hold it.
You just hear you plug them up and it's and their head just slowly turns into a balloon full of farts.
So they have like a dish-shaped depression like in their head, like a bowl shape on their skull, which has water in it.
You just fill it with cereal.
And if they ever spill the water, they die. So literally, you just like you gotta
Push
be
them
like,
over.
"Oh shit, what's that?" And make them what? And then just dumps the water everywhere.
And just bicycle kick him.
Yeah, but I'll fucking show them.
Easy.
Stupid kappa.
You go, hey, what time is it?
You just run up their chests and like uppercut them.
So
You run up their chest and you're like, oh shit, their head's way down here.
oops.
Damn.
It's when you give them the people's elbow.
That's right. Fake them out.
So, the next one I have on the list is actually one of my all-time favorite mythical creatures ever.
John Cena.
These things are Tanuki. Have you ever heard of a Tanuki before, Ryan?
I have, in some sort of weird alternate timeline.
Some alternate timeline that doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly.
You ever heard of a Tanuki, Palmer?
It's a weird sex position in
Oh,
Japan.
I believe it translates to tripod.
It is the forbidden anus of
Of the anus.
of the anus.
It's when your anus has another anus.
No. Don't go near that one. It's the forbidden.
That's why they should never have allowed Christian missionaries over there. Mercenaries.
Fucking murders.
That would be incredible.
Going after all the forbidden buttholes.
It's like smacking people like they have like Gatling guns but shoot Bibles.
Give me all your fucking Tanuki. I did it all for the Tanuki.
Okay.
I did it all for the Tanuki.
What?
The Tanuki. Yeah.
So these things, a Tanuki is basically a shape-shifting magical raccoon person, with
Sounds like an anus.
with like the world's largest nutsack that it uses to perform amazing feats.
What kind of amazing feats?
So Tanuki
Illusions like David Copperfield. Watch as I make this butthole disappear.
It's like literally Tanuki have been depicted using them for like fishing nets and like this painting here has a bunch of them like riding using one's nutsack as a boat with like a bunch of other Tanukis sitting in it.
So if you can use your nutsack as a boat, that makes you a Tanuki?
Yes.
I guess we're all.
Damn.
So the Tanuki are pretty fucking ridiculous. They're like they're almost like a Loki character in Japan. They're like these,
trickster nuts.
yeah, they're like trickster raccoons that can like change their shape. They can like shapeshift and stuff. And supposedly a Tanuki is able to to stretch its nutsack skin to like ridiculous proportions.
Like how many hectares?
So this thing apparently can stretch it to
300 cock
the length of 8 tatami mats, which that would be, what would 8 tatami mats be?
Like 30 meters?
I think it's about 40 ball meters.
So yeah, it can literally
About
stretch
the size of a forbidden anus.
and it will literally.
Those are huge.
That's why it's forbidden. You'll never come back. You're just instantly stuck in an anus. Like, you ever seen that movie Evolution? When like they're given the giant thing, the colonic with the fire hose. It's like that. It's awful. So
You guys want to go to Japan?
I used to, not no more.
Tanuki can also imitate sounds. Like they'll make like thunder and lightning noises. Like or they'll just like they'll like trick people by like pretending to be a person like out in the woods and stuff. So like one example.
Hey, what up?
Hey,
Like-
I'm a person. Hey, Kappa!
In one example, a train conductor hears a train whistle, and then the like the like of another steam engine
just
coming towards him.
He's just out in the middle of the woods.
He's got his ball sack
It's so
shaped like a
realistic.
train.
Just like smoke coming out of the ball sack.
He's got
like
he's
little
got, like, a
conductor
pipe.
hat on.
He's got like a pipe behind the train, the ball sack train, just like puffing smoke away, and then he's sitting there with a flashlight.
He's got like a little conductor hat on. Boop, 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 boop. All aboard. So this guy, at the time, they could only be. At the time, there was only like one set of tracks. Like back then, there was only one set of train tracks. So like you couldn't have two trains on the same track because they'd hit each other. So this guy's like, oh shit, like, and so. Like he like stops the train like freaking out because he's like, oh my god, I'm gonna hit this other train, and
It's the Spider-Man meme.
and no other train would ever show up. Like he'd be like shit, and then one night the conductor decides to keep going and nothing happens, and the next morning he finds a dead Tanuki on the tracks, and he's like, of course, was just that Tanuki that enjoyed imitating things.
That's right.
It's just a giant ball sack flattened out by a train.
It tried to
What
like
have I
stop the
done?
train with its nutsack, and it just didn't work.
Tanuki, no.
Its nuts were probably caught in the tracks, which is why it was trying to scare them away every day. It's like, man, I've been at this for like 3 days. I've almost got all my nut skin out of here. I wish it wasn't so stretchy.
And then another train just like goes over him.
Just runs him over. No, damn it. They can also make all kinds of other illusions. Like they'll like buy things with money. Like they were known to go into like brothels and shit, like, and just like get laid and like live it up in these brothels, like pretending to be a person until they fall asleep, and then once they fall asleep they turn back into a tanuki, and then they get like chased out of the brothel. They're like, "Ah, you goddamn tanuki," and like chase them out.
So
and
they're basically like a nut mage.
yeah, and all the like coins and stuff they would have handed out throughout the night would turn into leaves. So they just would like make fake money and like live it up, and then like run out.
This definitely needs to be like the next animated comedy.
The Tanuki also will like
I'm just
drum.
picturing all this as a Pixar movie.
They'll like drum on their belly, like they play music by like drumming on their own bellies and stuff, which is pretty dope. And it sounds like those big ass like drum things.
Just playing Hot for Teacher.
Yes, it sounds like YYZ, just like constantly. There's a bunch of fucking Tanukis.
Is that Neil Peart? No, that's a fucking Tanuki.
Yeah, and like it used to be like
his big ass drum kit is just as nuts.
they'll also use them for like chairs and stuff. Like a lot of the statues and depictions of them. Yeah, they'll bounce on them too. Or use them to hang glide. Like they'll literally like fly with by stretching their nuts into like this parachute shape.
Use them as like a bolos.
Yeah, you use them as a bolus to catch prey.
I will show you the world. Just like fly off a tall building.
Just like,
come with me.
I would totally watch a movie about a Tanuki who was like a super spy. That would be awesome. Or like a master thief.
Yeah, definitely needs to be a Pixar movie called "I Did It All for the Tanuki."
Tanuki, what Tanuki? And yeah, basically they're just out to have a good time, man. That's how Tanuki roll.
So they don't like horribly eviscerate people like all the other ones.
No, no, Tanuki are pretty chill. They'll kill you if you cross them.
They'll suffocate.
They
you
ain't no
with their
punk.
nuts.
They ain't no punk, but you know they're generally chill, which is good.
The chill bros.
So the next one I have here is the Makura Gaishi. What do you guys think Makura Gaishi is?
Is that new anime?
Probably. Like honestly, you could throw together any random fucking Japanese syllables, and it's probably the new anime that exists. Like I saw one a couple days ago. Like I saw a trailer for it where it was these teenage girls who were idols who were also racehorses, and so they
How's
would.
that any different than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
They had races like the mafia style, like I'll take 50 on Dusty's little helper. Like they had like those races, but it's like teenage girls with horse ears and like tails.
That sounds awful.
I was like, we have never been further from God's grace than in the moment that I have seen this trailer. So
this is a sign from God that He does not love us.
So I have the Makura Gaishi.
God's sleeping and hasn't woken up in a while.
It's true.
This thing literally translates to pillow flipper. And what the Makura Gaishi is it's a type of Zashiki Warashi, which is like they're like these child ghosts that are like centralized to a room of your house. So like you could have one that's your bathroom one, your bedroom one, your kitchen one, like
the couch ghost.
Yeah, the couch ghost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
house
it's
ghost.
that thing. And usually they're like kids who have been murdered or died in some tragic way, and then they just like stick around to fuck with you.
Does that mean Casper is one of these?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he'd have to be. Didn't he drown? I thought I remembered they addressed that in the movie from when we were kids.
I don't know.
I thought he died some like horrible way, and I was like, Jesus.
I think he got hate crimed.
I ain't never been a kid.
I remember he was trying to kill the little girl so that she would like be his friend forever, or something like that. And I was like, Jesus, Casper,
Shit.
like chill the fuck out.
Hey, whoa, whoa, I'm a friendly ghost. I just wanted a friend.
Forever. So these things, literally, like you'll be picture yourself. You're like a samurai. You're like tired. You're going to sleep. You go to like lay down, sleeping in your bed, and these things will show up dressed as either a samurai or like a monk, and they'll like show up in your bedroom late at night, and then they like take your pillow and put it at your feet instead. Like or like pick you up and spin you around so that your like feet are on your pillow and your head is like not.
I'll burn that place to the ground.
And that's like literally all these things do. Oh, and they if you see them, you'll die because
Yeah.
it rips your soul out.
Oh, of course.
So there's that.
So if you feel somebody fucking with your pillow, just let that shit happen.
Man, could be a tooth fairy.
It's a tooth fairy.
Makurokashi!
Just like punched it.
Just fuck her up and like her bag of teeth falls open.
When you just don't open your eyes, you're like...
The next one I have here is the Kanashibari, which translates to bound up with metal. And basically this is like the Japanese version of sleep paralysis. These things, like the most common way that it happens is from possession. So like a person will be possessed by an inugami, a kitsune, a tanuki, or a sukimono, and they'll become like paralyzed. And this sort of possession can sometimes be overcome if a shujinja, a kind of priest, recites Buddhist sutras to drive out the possessing spirit. Other kinds of things that could cause this are the pillow flipper, as well as like people could do it to you too, like a priest or a sorcerer could be like, I don't like that he think he cute, and then you're paralyzed. Then you fucked. So
like most priests do.
yeah, that's how they roll. So the next one I have here is Akamanto, which translates to red cloak. And so the Akamanto is like what do you guys think an Akamanto is?
He goes around at night and Superman that hoe.
Akamanto! Oh!
Akamanto!
So the Akamanto is like kind of like a urban legend, but about like school bathrooms. So like you, the legend is basically like all of a sudden you have to take a shit, like and it's like an emergency. So you like go running down the hall, and like the first bathroom you can get to is the old bathroom. Like it's like been there since the school was first made, and supposedly it's haunted, like that kind of thing. So you go in, and the fourth stall is usually the one that's the haunted stall. So like you go in, you sit in the fourth stall, you do your business, and when you go to finish, you notice there's no toilet paper, and you're like, oh shit. And all of a sudden you hear this voice go, do you want red paper or blue paper? And you're like,
I want white paper.
Yeah, can I get like regular paper?
You got some of that downy?
red paper or blue paper?
Give me some of that one ply.
Yeah, how many ply are they?
A bunch of ply. Like a whole lot of ply.
Is it like so much ply that it just like it's like tissue paper?
I'm not trying to clog this toilet.
I need like 3 ply tops.
Do you pay their bills?
Yeah, with taxes.
Right.
Just gives you like regular paper.
Sorry to have disturbed you.
So if you answer red paper, a moment later you get stabbed and sliced up so violently that your blood like sprays everywhere, soaking your body and making it look like you're wearing a bright red cloak. And if you say blue paper, all of a sudden all your blood gets sucked out and you like turn dead and blue-faced on the floor.
Where do they suck the blood out? Like your toes?
Probably your butt.
You just
Like
like
forbidden anus.
Probably the
he
forbidden
just like
anus.
walks up and you're just like
He's down on the toilet.
my anus.
Yo, give me the blood.
Let me find that mythical ball that's in your anus.
No.
No. So,
Flat my ball sack and get the fly out of there.
Just like I'm in danger.
fucking Tanuki like kicks in the door and like boluses its nuts around this thing's neck, and, like drags it out, starts beating it in the face. Like,
Bunch
thank
of
you,
Tanuki.
Tanuki.
Bunch of Tanuki just wailing on him with their sacks.
And it's just fucking swinging it around like a morning star. Bam! It's Tanuki-ing the shit out of people. Or like sneaks up behind him and uses it as like a garrote. Fucking like
Piano wire.
fucking like smothers him by like wrapping his ball sack around his face like 6
It's
times.
just like a montage of people like getting garroted by fucking Tanuki. It's like your grandson is getting like christened.
They take one ball in each hand and just slam it on the other side of your head.
And their heads just
Boom.
explode.
It's just like the Godfather, the end of the Godfather like montage, but with Tanuki.
It's a fucking. Did you ever play that game Manhunt for like Xbox and PlayStation 2?
No.
So like, basically it was like the most dangerous game, but a video game. So like,
To make it the most dangerous game.
The most dangerous game, the video game.
yeah, that's what they should have called it. So
Didn't test as well.
You're like this prisoner who gets dropped in this place with like a bunch of other prisoners, and they're like all
Jail.
in. They're all in gangs. No, it's like a place outside of jail. They execute you, and then you wake up in this place.
It's like PUBG.
Yeah, yeah. So you're like they're all in like gangs and shit, and you're like on your own. But I went through all that to say this: the game had some of the most ridiculous kills you could possibly do to anyone in any game ever, because you had to use everything as a weapon. And my favorite one was a plastic bag. And what you do with the plastic bag is you like sneak up on them, and then you put it over their face and tie it, and then start beating them in the face over and over again, and they drown in the blood that fills up the bag. And I just imagine Tanukis doing that with their nuts. Just like, just all over the fucking place. It's like, it's like punch them to death till they drown in nut blood.
Tanuki don't fuck around.
Also, these things could just slit your throat, or they could smother you to death, which would make you blue. Oh, and if you said yellow paper, thinking like you're gonna be slick, they would like drown you in the piss water. They would like drown you in the toilet water.
Joke's on them. I didn't pee. I was too scared.
Too scared.
Went back up.
I clinched. So, The next one I have here is the shirime. What do you think a shirime is, Brian?
A shirime. I have no idea.
It's a cashier at McDonald's.
I'm pretty sure it's that Latina singer that sounds like a goat singing about hips. Shirime, shirime. My hips don't lie.
Those hips were dope to like 10-year-old Mike. So the shirime, its name literally translates to butt eye.
Butt eye?
And so here's the thing with the shirime. It's feudal Japan. You're like back from doing Japan stuff.
You say feudal Japan?
Feudal Japan.
What's that?
Like the time period. It's basically the Middle Ages, but Japan. So it's Middle Ages Japan. And you're walking back from doing all kinds of Japan stuff.
Like what?
Walking back home to your
Bukake.
Japan home. Down like Japan Road.
I regret I asked.
So you like go home. Walking down Japan Road to your Japan home.
Doing Japan things.
After doing Japan things.
Depends.
And all of a sudden, you see this dude walking towards you on the road, and you're like, man, why is that guy walking down this road too? I don't like when other people walk down this road as well. And so this guy's in a cloak, and you can't really make out any distinguishing features until he gets like right up in front of you, and then you're like, wait, that dude doesn't have a face. And he like does a fucking handstand, flips his cloak off, and like uses his hands to spread his ass cheeks, and you see that he has an eyeball where his asshole should be, and you're like, the fuck is that?
And then it's a staring contest.
Yeah, and then the first one who blinks loses.
Look into my wandering eyes. Okay.
But that's literally what these things do. They literally will like, they just want to surprise you by being like an eye where a butthole should be. Then they just walk off, I guess.
They're like, totally got you.
Like, I got him. That guy, he was real surprised.
He was all like, man, that's weird. And I was all like, I know.
What do you think? You think they do like weird, like pranks in Japan, where they glue
eyes to their butt?
Yeah, like a googly eye to their butthole, and just go around and moon people, and people go, ah, they're real.
I guarantee it.
Ah, fuck.
When it comes to ghostly storytelling, there are few better than the Japanese. From historical folklore to modern-day spine tinglers, here are 5 ghostly tales from Japan. Number 5. Ghost Hand. A monk was walking in the countryside to a nearby village called Akiyama. As he was travelling, he heard footsteps behind him, but upon looking round, there was nothing there. He continued on his way, only to hear the footsteps following him again. The monk decided it was probably the spirit of a person that had died out here in the country during a recent drought. He took pity on the spirit, and after his visit to the village, he brought back a sutra parchment with Buddhist scripture on it. The monk waited where he'd heard the footsteps until long after dark and into the dead of night. Suddenly, a pale white hand emerged from the darkness and beckoned slowly to the monk. The hand was all there was, nothing else. Despite his fright, the monk gently placed the sutra in the dead hand and chanted the prayer written upon it. As he expected, the ghostly hand withdrew and departed from the world. This is a spooky tale from hundreds of years ago, and the sense of dread following the footsteps and the creeping horror of the pale, disembodied, beckoning hand really make it stand out. Number 4. The Peony Lantern. Here's a well-known tale that's even been adapted into kabuki theatre. A samurai called Ogiwara, who had lost his wife the year before, looked out of his window one evening and noticed a beautiful woman walking by with a young girl who held a peony lantern. He immediately fell in love with the woman, whose name was Otsuyu, and pledged his eternal love for her. Every night after that, Otsuya and the girl would visit Ogiwara's house and leave before dawn. A neighbour who noticed this with suspicion decided to peek into Ogiwara's home and saw the samurai performing sexual acts with a skeleton. A priest was brought to Ogiwara and told him he must resist Otsuya's attractions, laying a protective charm on the home and praying outside it. That night, the woman and the girl couldn't get into the house because of the charm, and Otsuya called to Ogiwara all through the night. Eventually, Ogiwara couldn't resist any more and came outside to her. The girl with the lantern led the couple back to Otsuya's grave in a nearby temple, her home, to make love. The following morning, Ogiwara's corpse was found naked and intertwined with the skeleton of a woman, while another smaller skeleton with a peony lantern lay nearby. Chilling and repulsive at the same time, this ghost story has been popular in Japan for centuries. Number 3. Tokyo Taxis. Here's another classic. In the city of Tokyo one night, it was absolutely pouring with rain, and a taxi driver was doing good business. Everyone wanted a dry ride. The cabbie picked up a young girl who had hailed him near the big cemetery. She was completely drenched and seemed very sad. They drove in silence to the destination that she had given. Upon arrival, the girl didn't get out of the cab, but instead asked to wait there. She stared up through the rain at one apartment for 10 whole minutes, watching the person moving about inside in the light. She then suddenly asked to be taken to a house back near the cemetery, and the driver obliged. A little unnerved, he kept silent and focused on the rain and the road. Once he had pulled the car up outside the house the girl requested, he felt glad the strange journey was over and turned round to collect the cab fare. The seat was empty, except for a deep puddle on the seat where the girl had been sitting. She had vanished. A knock on the window made him jump then, and the man who lived in the house was there with the exact taxi fare for the driver. He told him the young girl had been his daughter who had died in a car accident years ago, and that some nights she came back from the dead and travelled to visit her boyfriend's apartment, then asked to be taken home. The cab driver stayed away from the cemetery ever after. Number 2. Black hair. Many years ago, a poor samurai lived with his wife in the capital. He was summoned to battle by a distant lord and gladly accepted, leaving his wife and taking a different woman who he fancied with him. After he'd finished his service and returned home late one night, he longed for his wife again. Guiltily, he entered his hut, but found his wife greeting him and welcoming him back, rather than being angry for abandoning and cheating on her. The happy samurai promised never to leave her again. His wife beamed with joy, and they went to bed together in each other's sweet embrace until sleep took them. The next morning he awoke with a terrible shock to find himself embracing a dried-out corpse with nothing but withered flesh on its bones, and wrapped from head to toe in long black hair. He scrambled out of the hut and ran to a neighbour. "What happened to the woman next door?" he asked them. The neighbour replied, "Long ago her husband abandoned her. She was so deeply upset that she became ill and died soon after. As no one who cared for her was around to give her a funeral, her body is still in the place where she died." It's a chilling tale, and it's so sad too, but those are often the best ghost stories. Number 1. Blind Revenge. Many years ago, a samurai by the name of Hotsumi visited an inn on his travels. When he got to his bedroom, he heard a beautiful voice singing a song and decided to find her, thinking she would be just as beautiful. Asking about the inn, he discovered that she was a blind travelling musician and found out which room was hers. Filled with lust, later that evening he waited for her in the dark. When she returned, he leapt out and ravished her, which she very much enjoyed. In the light of the following morning, he found that she was terribly ugly, a shock to Hotsumi. Although the blind woman seemed enchanted by him, he'd made a plan to dispose of her. The samurai led her up a mountain road later that day and pushed her off the road to her death into a ravine. A year later, the wicked, self-serving Hotsumi had completely forgotten these events. He was travelling in the same area and stopped to rest one night at a temple. He was awoken by a ghostly entity who pointed down at him and said, "Have you forgotten? You played with me and cast me aside when you'd had enough. Although I have no eyes, I see you now." Then she grabbed the terrified Hatsumi by the ankles and dragged him out of bed in a rage. The ghost was impossibly strong and the samurai couldn't fight her, watching helplessly as she dragged him outside to a nearby graveyard. She paused for a second in front of one grave, smiled, then grabbed Hatsumi in an embrace and disappeared with him beneath the cold earth. Monks who had heard the commotion followed the trail the next morning and dug the grave up. In it, they found Hatsumi's mangled body, completely wrapped up in the bones of a skeleton. It was that of the woman that they had found dead in the ravine a year before.
So I know you guys are sitting around, you're like, Mike, all this Japanese, like, yokai shit, that's kind of cool, right? But, like, what about the big questions? What about the things that I care about and the reasons that I listen to this show, like Bigfoot?
Like, why isn't the Earth flat?
Well, in Japanese folklore, it is, and on the back of a turtle.
That's not flat.
Well, it's
Turtle's
flat,
round.
but it's on the back of a turtle.
No.
It's like inverse flat. I bet you guys were like, oh shit, where's Bigfoot? Apparently there's a Japanese Bigfoot. And his name is Hibagon.
Hibagon.
He's literally just a giant foot.
Probably.
He's known to live in tropical forests and like specifically in northern Hiroshima, like around like Mount Hiba and stuff like that, which is where he gets his name, the Hibagon. So he's typically described as being reddish brown or black in color, sometimes having a patch of white fur on its chest. So like he's styling a little more than our Bigfoot, because our Bigfoot is like all one color. Supposedly he smells like unwashed nuts.
Don't run.
He smells like he hasn't bathed in like fucking like months, and supposedly he's pretty ugly. He has a fierce face covered in bristles, a snub nose, and glaring intelligent eyes. Yeah, mostly he was sighted between 1970 and 1982. That's when like the biggest like stories of his sightings were. And in 1970, a group of elementary school students were like out picking wild mushrooms near Mount Hiba.
That's
and
weird.
all of a sudden this thing comes like crashing through the brush, like brah! And it was like so pissed off that these like kids were here that it like started like threatening them and like breaking branches and stuff.
Kids, get off my lawn.
And
Get off my planet.
the children like immediately took off. Like when they saw that, they were like, "Fuck that!"
Just got back in their spaceship.
They combined into a robot and took off because it's Japan.
Get out of my planet.
Like one of the kids like turns into like the leg. The other one's the other leg.
They all hopped in his forbidden anus.
Yeah.
That's where all the room is. It's roomy in here.
Forbidden anus. Go anus. Go anus.
I apologize. I apologize.
That's the anus.
So yeah, there's some pretty good, pretty cool pictures of him. Like this one here. I mean, that could be like a dude in a ghillie suit, but it also looks a lot like it could be a Bigfoot thing. That's kind of cool.
Why is it called a ghillie suit, not like a gombo suit?
Gombo suit.
I don't know, man. Why is it a ghillie suit?
Because it's named after Alexander Gilly, who created it.
He has a dumb name.
I just
I'm
made
okay
it up,
with-
so he probably does.
I was about to say, he's a cool first name. His last name's stupid.
So, the next thing I have here is the story of Utsuro Bune. Have you guys ever heard of this?
Not when you keep making up fucking words.
So,
It's not a real word, man. Speak English.
So, Utsuro Bune is actually, it's this legend where on February 22nd of 1803, local fishers of the Horayadori shore on Hitachi province saw an ominous ship drifting in the waters. And so they like grabbed this thing out of the water and like pulled it up back onto land, and they noticed that it was 3.3 meters or 10 feet high and 5.5 meters or about 18 feet wide. And it resembled an incense burner. It was a ship that they found floating in the water, and they said its shape resembled an incense burner, like a Japanese incense burner. Its upper part appeared to be made of red-coated rosewood, while the lower part was covered with brazen plates, which looked like it was meant to protect it from like hard rocks and stuff like that. It also had several windows made of glass or crystal, covered with bars and clogged with some kind of tree resin. The windows were completely transparent, and the fishermen were like, "What? I've never seen anything like transparent like that before. This is like fucking 1803. We don't have windows that clean. That shit doesn't exist."
It's probably from the future with the future Nazis.
And so she like her skin like when they opened it up, there was a beautiful young woman around 18 to 20 years old.
They probably raped her.
Around 5 feet, and the woman had red hair and eyebrows, and she had like white extensions on the hair, which seemed to be made of fur or thin white powdered textile streaks.
What a dumb description. She was a girl. She had eyebrows.
Red hair and eyebrows. Her hair was red, and so were her eyebrows.
I know, it's just like... It's like someone trying to fill extra words on an essay. It's like...
I mean, I guess. It seems...
She had a nose and some lips.
It's kind of an important detail because it's Japan. Have you ever seen a red-haired, like, Japanese person?
No.
Like, so that's kind of weird.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, I feel like most people's eyebrows...
She was also 5 feet tall, so it looked like a giant.
Most people's eyebrows are, like, the same color as their hair, isn't it? I mean...
Usually.
So I just think it's a weird thing to state, like...
So, she also had, like, these, like, white fur extensions on the hair, which was kind of weird. The skin of the lady was said to be very pale pink in color. She wore precious, long, and smooth clothes of unknown fabrics. And the woman began speaking, but she didn't speak Japanese. Like, she was speaking some language nobody there understood.
Hello?
Hello?
Where am I?
This place is dumb.
Why does it... This place smells like fish.
You're also small.
Ew.
So, although the mysterious woman appeared friendly and courteous, she acted oddly and would always clutch a box made out of some sort of pale material. The woman wouldn't allow anyone to touch the box, no matter how kindly or pressingly the witnesses asked.
It was her makeup box.
It's probably her tablet. She like accidentally time traveled to like ancient Japan.
Don't look at my phone.
Stop! You don't need to see this.
It's private.
Selfie. An old man from the village said, "This woman could be a princess of a foreign realm who married at her homeland, but when she had an affair with a townsman after marriage, it caused a scandal and the lover was killed for punishment. The princess was banned from home, for she enjoyed lots of sympathy, so she escaped the death penalty. Instead, she might have been exposed to that Utsuro Bune to leave her to destiny. If this should be correct, the quadratic box may contain the head of the woman's deceased lover. In the past, a very similar object with a woman was washed ashore on a close-by beach. During this incident, a small board with a pinned head was found. The content of the box could therefore be the same, which would certainly explain why she protects it so much. It would afford lots of money and time to investigate the woman and her boat, since it seems to be a tradition to expose those boats at sea. We should bring the woman back to the Utsurobune and let her drift away. From human sight, it might be cruel, but it seems to be her predetermined destiny. So this guy's like, get rid of this bitch, shove her back in the box, and kick her out to sea. He's like writing like a fucking soap opera for like what her story must be, since he doesn't speak our language. And then he's like, shove her back in the box. Like, get rid of her.
I'm gonna send you in a box, Mark, dead guy.
But what's crazy is a lot of these things, like when you look at paintings and stuff of this incident, it clearly looks like it could be a UFO, like the ship that she arrived in. Mm-hmm. So it might even be, I mean, see, like that there?
It looks like it.
That looks like a UFO. So it could even be like, they could have been talking to an alien. Or they could have been talking to a Viking who just fucking showed up there all of a sudden covered in like fur and shit. That would be really fucking dope. Or like even a Roman, like because they found Roman coins in Japan at some point, didn't they?
I believe they did.
Yeah, that'd be fucking dope.
Yeah.
So the last thing I have here is Aoki Kihara. Do you guys know what Aoki Kihara is?
Suicide Forest?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is the Suicide Forest. So, what do you know about Aoki Kihara, Ryan?
What I've come across before, it's just like a natural national park, I think, in Japan. Mm-hmm. But it's pretty, like, I don't know, dark and foreboding. People you can hide there easily, so people like to go in there and choose that as their place to kill themselves.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of suicide and issues with that lead to suicide in Japan.
Yeah. Apparently in 2003, 105 bodies were found in the forest, which the previous record had been 78 in the year 2002. In 2010, police recorded more than 200 people having attempted suicide in the forest. Only 54 of who were able to actually commit suicide. Apparently, suicides increased during March, which is the end of the fiscal year in Japan. And as of 2011, the most common means of suicide in the forest was hanging or drug overdose. And literally, it's gotten so bad that, in Japan, ever since 1970, they've been putting up signs and stuff, like random signs all over the forest, like, don't do it, think of your family, like things like that, like all over the forest to try to help talk people out of it, because it's such a big phenomena that's happening here. Like, it's really weird because it doesn't, like, there's not really a place like that where everybody goes to commit suicide anywhere else. That's not a thing that happens. But Japan actually still has one of the highest suicide rates in the world. Apparently they had 2,645 recorded suicides in 2008, which is kind of ridiculous. They've tried putting up cameras and signs and stuff to try to talk people out of going in there, but it's also described as being a really eerie place.
Yeah.
It's naturally a really creepy place. It's really uneven and rocky, and it's got lots of caves, lots of trees and stuff, and apparently it has this this deep feeling of isolation from the trees being too tightly packed for wind to get through it. So it's just this intense...
intensifies the loneliness.
Yeah. It's described as a chasm of emptiness. and like there's an absence of sound. So like your breath, according to people who've been there, they say your breath is almost like a roar because of how quiet it is.
Haunted as fuck, basically.
Yeah. The forest is 200% haunted. I have never been more sure that a place in the world would be haunted as I am that this one is haunted. Because not only are there all the suicides, but you would also have like the people mourning them, and also in Japan they used to have a thing called ubasute, which was a kind of like euthanasia, which translates roughly to abandoning the old woman, which was something that wasn't common, but like if people were starving to death or something like that, what they would do is they would walk an elderly relative to a mountain or a similar remote environment and just leave them to like die from dehydration, starvation, or exposure.
What if they come back?
So apparently,
that's a whole nother problem.
Like apparently, the rumor is that is originally why this place is like the way it is. Also, the forest is so thick. Some people will use like tape or ribbons to keep from getting lost, like fucking like Hansel and Gretel, like having to leave like a line to find your way back out. The soil is also rich with magnetic iron, and so it fucks with your cell phone service, GPS systems, and even compasses. And might even fuck with your brain if it's like that high electromagnetically.
Don't go there, basically.
Yeah, basically don't go there. If you wander off the path, you're like pretty much gonna find a body. Is pretty much how it is, because they don't have enough people to go in and find all of the bodies. So they're like always searching, always looking for more people who would have done it in there, but there's so many, there's going to be a bunch in there. So, and that's it for Weird Japan. So
always end on the high note.
Yeah, always end on the high note. So what do you think, Palmer, about Japan?
Yes.
Yes, Japan. What was your favorite yokai?
Probably the giant ball sack.
Tanuki. The Tanukis are dope. What's your favorite, Ryan?
Yeah, I feel like Tanuki is the obvious answer for sure.
It's
but
the cream of the crop.
It is. They're the creme de la creme.
It will rise to the top.
But I feel like my backup is going to be the Butthole Eye Monster.
The Butthole Eye Monster is pretty dope.
Just because they're hilarious.
I got it. Can you imagine like a Tanuki riding one of those? It's just like on all fours, like running with like its and the Tanuki's like spreading its cheeks so that it can see where it's going.
I can see it.
It's like swinging its ball sack over his head like a lasso, like catch people.
What's your favorite?
Mine is the Tanuki, 200%. I wish I could pick a different one. Though the Ninjin is cool too. That thing's like so freaky.
Yeah. Yeah, I posted one on our Facebook page. My favorite Ninjin.
Yeah, thing's fucking dope. So, you guys got any shout outs this week? Palmer, what's your shout out?
Epoxy.
Epoxy? Okay.
It's a very good adhesive.
What's epoxy for?
Everything. It's gluing stuff.
You got a shout out this week, Ryan?
No, I don't have one this week.
My shout out this week is to the new Lost in Space show on Netflix, because it's fucking dope so far.
Oh, have you finished it?
No, I'm like halfway through, but like the music in that show is so fucking good. Like, I've definitely been enjoying it. Also, Into the Badlands is dope too.
Yeah.
I was looking for something to scratch my kung fu fix, And it's actually not as dumb as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
So I'm glad about that. But yeah, that's it for this week. Send us your emails to weirdshitpodcast@gmail.com. Tell us your spooky stories. Buy some merch. We got merch on Threadless, and it's like weirdshitpodcast.threadless.com. We got our Patronus. Leave us reviews and subscribe on iTunes. Smoke that weed. Happy, like a couple days after 420. And we'll catch y'all next week. It's 423.
Damn. Yesterday was the 12th anniversary of Shrek.
R.I.P.
17th.
R.I.P. Shrek.
Next year, Shrek will be legal.
R.I.P. Shrek. Why haven't they made Shrek 9?
The copyrights belong to that rapper Tech 9.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Too similar.
Man, that episode was dope. You know what else would be dope? If you guys told us your paranormal stories. I know some of you have seen ghosts, some of you have seen fucking UFOs, some of you have seen Bigfoot. If you write into us, we have an email. It is weirdshitpodcast@gmail.com. We really want to read you guys' emails. If you want to just give us a shout out, you can give us a shout out. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to record a voice message, I want to start putting voice shout outs at the beginning of every episode now. So if you send us those, that would be fucking dope. We have the Google Voice number. If you'd rather call up and leave us a voicemail, you can tell us your story that way. Send us some positivity, man. Keep the positivity coming. It's the number for that is 919-346-3071. That's 919-346-3071. We also have a Facebook group, the Weird Shit Podcast official Facebook group. We're on there all the time. We're posting memes. We want to talk to you guys. Fucking tweet at us. Fucking Facebook us. Fucking email us, man, because we love to hear from you and we want to keep doing this forever.
Hello, my darlings. I'm Sammy, the host of Encrypted. Every 2 weeks, I will bring you stories of mystery, true crime, and creepy. You can find me on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Do you have a story? I would love to hear it. You can go to the Encrypted Podcast discussion group on Facebook. On Twitter, you can find us at EncryptedPod. Or you can go to accproductions.org/encrypted. Don't forget to lock your doors and hold tight to your flashlight.
Hey guys, I'm Nick.
And I'm Joe. And
we are the
Fringe Boys.
The hosts of Cast into the Fringe, a weekly dive into time travel,
aliens,
conspiracies,
nerdy virgins,
and many other strange things the government doesn't want you to know.
Find us on Instagram and Facebook at Cast into the Fringe.
And check out our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud.
Hi, this is Jim.
And this is Annabelle.
Together, we bring you the Forgotten News Podcast.
We tell true stories from long ago. Stories from before you were born. Stories that made headlines for a week or a month, then vanished, just as suddenly. We look for these long-lost stories, then brush off the dust and share them with you, as fresh as the day they were first told.
One thing we definitely promise you, the stories you will hear will always be a surprise, and it will be a true story.
It might be a crime story. It might be a strange or spooky story. It might be a funny story.
If you are someone who might like to hear lost stories like these, then you should definitely listen to the Forgotten News podcast.
The Forgotten News podcast is available on iTunes, also known as Apple Podcasts, as well as Google Play, Podbay, Player FM, and nearly every app for listening to podcasts.
I don't know what else to say, except be sure to listen to the Forgotten News podcast.
Hey everybody, this is Steven.
And this is Chris.
And we're the hosts of the brand new podcast, Is This Adulting?
Every week, we're going to sit down to have a discussion about life, culture, our own mental health struggles, and just about anything you can think of.
Have you ever wondered which breakfast cereal's the best?
Or how to help your friends who are dealing with mental illness?
Or why waterbeds were a thing?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, then have we got a show for you.
And remember kids, be happy, stay healthy, and go hug someone.
Because you never know, they might just be starting a podcast.
Oh, hey there. I didn't see you. I'm Sarah, the host of the Salty Canadian podcast. If you want a podcast that is full of fun, rants, reviews, and just random stuff, then this is a podcast for you. We can be found on any podcast catcher, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and have a great day. Eh?
Hey everybody, Mike here. I just want to take a second to talk to you about our Patreon we have set up at www.patreon.com/weirdshitpodcast. Basically, Patreon is a way where fans and listeners like yourselves can choose an amount every month to donate towards the show. Your donations will be put towards buying new equipment. It'll be put towards buying munchies because fucking Palmer is insatiable. It'll be put towards helping us pay our dues for hosting the show and for keeping the websites going. And honestly, the main thing it'll help us do is let me take more time to do more research on these topics. I have a full-time job. I work 60 hours a week, and then I spend 40 hours doing research for you guys because I love this show and I want to give you the best thing I possibly can. So if you have anything you want to give us, if you think we deserve anything for that work, feel free to go to Patreon and donate whatever you can. If not, man, it's cool. Like, I love every single one of you, and I'm so glad you're listening. Just share the show with whoever you think would be interested, and we'd love to hear from you. Thanks.